Scott from Woodworks USA here. Just getting the workbench a little dirty today. Figured I'd do a little walkthrough what we got going on here. First thing I'd like to point out, tabletop position. Pretty non-traditional from what I've seen other project centers. The blade to miter saw distance, 32 inches. So you can cut basically 16-inch rip cuts on a 48-inch sheet without needing to move the miter saw at all. I always go back and forth between the two, so having to pull the miter saw off the bench wasn't going to work at all for me. Also have an air compressor down there for running nailers and whatever else you got to work on. I built a little fence extension here, the little rack for it. So basically the design here, I don't have the space to be able to run the fence into the bench. So I needed a little fence to make up the distance for when I have more narrow cuts than 5 inches. Little hose rack. It's pretty cool. Little flip up outfeed support for long sheet goods. It also covers up the vacuum and the dust collector, dust deputy guy. Had to empty that drum about 5 times so far. Definitely works really well, the dust deputy setup. The HEPA filters don't have any particulate on them, hardly at all. Every time I've emptied it, it's pretty sweet. Cut a little window in here, so when this is down, I can actually reach in and still turn the vacuum on, which is nice. Planer down below, I put it on a little rollout, just so you can have a little better access to it if you need to change the blades out or whatever you got to do to it. Also have a little outfeed bench back there that lines up. Right, so if you got a longer thing that you're planing, it supports it a little better. A lot of questions on how the actual ducting is run. So as you've seen, the manifold on the other side there, each one of these tubes go to a different machine. So that one goes over there to the router, straight up through the deck. Obviously the planer one comes down. The table saw one comes through and then goes back through that back wall of the table saw there. Miter saw one comes straight up through this little gap I got here. Left plenty of slack here so I can turn the saw however I need to. And I also ran the power cable with it so it'd stay nice and neat. The vacuum has a lot of unique, well, one main unique feature is this plug here senses power draw and then will kick on the vacuum, which is sweet. So what I did was I ran power strip, dedicated power strip that all the machines are hooked to that need vacuum power, plugged that strip into the vacuum. So now, no matter where I am, hit a tool, vacuum turns on, and then I think it's got a 15-second delay. And then it'll turn off. So yeah, it seemed like about 15-second delay just to clear the pipes after you're done cutting. Drawers. So I had a million of the DeWalt plastic black boxes and I was like, you know what, this sucks. So kind of consolidated everything that I have into the drawers. It's just turned out pretty nice. Did cut slots in here for the router table, so this stuff can come in and out and whatnot. It's probably one of my least used tools. I do a lot of routing with just the router itself. I don't really use the table too much. Kreg saw stop. I just did the one side. I didn't, you know, it comes with 2 sides, but that was going to interfere with my table saw, so I just have the one side. So if I'm cutting from 8.5 to 55 inches, I can use this guy. Super handy, super solid unit. I mean, if you guys don't have one, highly recommend that guy. Had to do a little custom cut here. I made the brace out of melamine. It's held up pretty well, and it's solid. I mean, no complaints so far. More tools over here. This is kind of the Kreg side slash drill side, battery stuff. Just kind of got a little spot for everything. This battery doesn't have a home yet. Gotta do that. And then just kind of extra drawer down there. I keep my tool bag down there. One main power unit or power strip. Labeled this one so I know. This is the main one that goes to the house power. So I just need to run one cord and that powers the entire thing. So I have the air compressor in here, the vacuum, which this vacuum one obviously powers the rest of the tools. And then I have an onboard charger for batteries too. One thing I changed with the plans that I didn't do, and that I changed because I did the plans after I actually built this thing, was I made these shelves full shelves. So these little tabs I thought were gonna be great, but they're just not. They're okay, right? But you know, having a full piece of wood there's way better. So the valve system, you know, the valves are a little tight, you know, but I think it's kind of just the PVC material. I don't think it's getting clogged at all. I also ran a fifth one that has a vacuum tube so I can do some cleanup for whatever I need to after I'm done working. A little storage space down here for extra power strips, some extra vacuum tools, things like that. The Kreg clamp set for making frames. This thing is super useful. These quick clamps are nice too for not having to adjust things. And then we have the pocket hole jig here. So I can actually run this vacuum tube out and around and actually run it into here too for dust collection on the Kreg jig for when I'm doing that work. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions. I'll post the link to the plans in the comment section. Thanks for watching, everybody.